Hey Damien, this is Scott, and as I promised, I wanted to show you an approach to making money to the downside with things like Netflix, like you talked about. There's a bunch of things that are, I guess they call them the stay-at-home or the sequester stocks. Netflix obviously being one of them, massive jump from people being locked in their homes and not having anything else to do. Peloton is in the exercise bike is another one. There's several in this field that have really, I think, overshot, just sort of like your belief system implies that they've overshot really fair valuation and probably need to come back down to earth a little bit. And so the question is, how do you take advantage of this? Because even like in today, Netflix was up $5. It's volatile, even though it is potentially overvalued. Doesn't necessarily mean it can't become more overvalued. And so the typical way, of course, that people try to make money to the downside is they just short the stock. We could go in and we could do a trade where, let me clear this out, where we short Netflix, and we could short 100 shares of Netflix, and that would make us money to the downside. The challenge with with a stock that's $420 a share is that that's a $42,000 transaction. Of course, the broker would require us to only put up half, but it's still a $42,000 transaction. But the bigger issue too is when you look at any trade in a risk graph, it's sort of interesting. These risk graphs, I don't know if you've played around with them at all or understand them at all, but they're really great from a illustrative standpoint, being able to understand what a trade is doing. And it shows one thing that I think is very interesting when you short a stock, your probability of profit. In other words, your probability of making money is 50%. And that kind of makes sense. Whether you're buying stock, we could go buy stock, it's a 50-50 shot. Or whether we go short stock, it's a 50-50 shot. I mean, whatever you're doing, whether you're buying or selling, you got a 50% shot at being correct in that assumption. And so it really is sort of throwing darts in a sense. And obviously we would have to have the stock go down to make money on that. But it's also a very expensive transaction, a lot of money to put into one position like that. And so what a lot of people will do instead of shorting stock is they'll buy an option. A put option. Put option would make you money if the stock went down. And so stocks right now maybe at 4.19, and a lot of people are saying, you know what, we feel like Netflix is going to come at least back down here to this 355 range, somewhere down in here. And we're at 420 now. So a lot of potential to the downside. Maybe we could go purchase this 400 strike price put. And if you look at that in the curve, couple things that stick out if you look at that. Number one, obviously, it's a much more manageable trade. It's only a $1,000 trade. But the challenge with buying options, you'll see that your probability of profit's even lower. It's only 30% probability of profit. And the reason for that is this is right here. That's where the stock is today. There's our put option. Puts make us money when stocks go down. The challenge or the problem is we had to pay $1,000 for that option. And so not only does the stock have to hit that $400 level, it's actually got to go $11 further down to pay for the cost of our option. And that's why you only have a 30% chance of making money. Now you have a big profit potential. You could, turn that $1,000 into $7,000, $8,000 down here if you hit this right. But again, it's only a 30% chance of success. And so what we've been doing and what we prefer to do and what we've had a lot of success with is instead of that, say we have the same premise and say, yeah, we believe that Netflix is overextended and probably due to come down. We do what is called the selling of a vertical call spread. So we could come in here, maybe somewhere around 500, and I'm going to put a spread in here. And you can see the numbers now on this. This is an interesting spread. I just sort of picked those at random, and I'd have to play around with the actual numbers to do this. But if you look at this now in this risk graph, you can see a vastly different picture here. Basically, let's see if we can get that to scale. What this is showing us now is that right now, Netflix is $420 a share. We have a bearish premise. We believe it's going to go down. Anything below anything below 500, anything below $500 a share, we would make money. on this transaction. There is, and this is over a 30-day period down here, and the probability of profit, the probability of this trade making money is 92%. Probability of making at least some money, if not the maximum potential, 97%. What is the profit potential on the trade? Well, we put up about $900 or $1,000, bring in $35. That doesn't sound like a lot, but that is about a 36 or a 3.6% rate of return in a 1 month period of time, about 45% a year annualized rate of return. So anyway, I just wanted to show that to you because I think this is probably going to be the way for us to play things like Netflix to the downside and still give us a good rate of return with a much more consistent rate of return. The account is moving in the right direction. It's moving slowly, but we are moving in the right direction. So I will touch base with you again here in a few weeks and just kind of update you where we're at. But I wanted to show you this strategy to downside because I think we were sort of like-minded in thinking about some of these stocks that have been pushed up a little too high because of this stay-at-home sequestering stuff.